Hello, and welcome to today's workshop, Where Do Worthy Entrepreneurial Ideas Come From? This is the 7th session of the Riverview Credit Union Mid-Ohio Valley Entrepreneurship Expo at Marietta College. It is also the kickoff event for Marietta College's PioBiz Competition. First, I'd like to take a moment to thank this year's Mid-Ohio Valley Entrepreneurship Expo title sponsor, the Riverview Credit Union, as well as our in-kind platinum sponsor, Clutch MOV, our gold sponsors, the Swindeman Agency and McDonough Foundation, our silver sponsors, Premier Bank and Tech Grow Ohio, and our bronze sponsors, Trademark Solutions and Tenney and Associates. Next, I would like to share that the 8th session of the Riverview Credit Union Mid-Ohio Valley Entrepreneurship Expo will be on Thursday, February 25th at 4:30 p.m. The February 25th event is a webinar entitled The 6 Pillars of Digital Campaigns with speaker Dan Gretsch of BizHack Academy, who will be discussing digital marketing with us. Finally, I would like to introduce myself and today's speakers. My name is Heather Miller. I'm an adjunct faculty member here at Marietta College, and I'm assisting in the entrepreneurship program this spring. I am joined by Dr. Jacqueline Corsani and Faith Knutson. Dr. Corsani is a professor of economics and entrepreneurship and the director of the entrepreneurship program at Marietta College. Besides teaching a variety of courses in economics and entrepreneurship at the college, Jackie has also lectured in China, Brazil, and Ireland. She has published and presented papers at national and international journals and conferences. Jackie holds a bachelor's degree in public relations and social affairs and both a master's degree and a PhD in economics. Ms. Knutson is the Director of Social Enterprise and Innovation at Ohio University's Voinovich School. In that capacity, Faith directs the federally funded Social Enterprise Ecosystem Project and lectures on entrepreneurship and venture development in the U.S. and abroad. Besides serving on the advisory board of the entrepreneurship program at Marietta College, Faith also advises on the boards of 3 regional social enterprises. Previously, she worked for 12 years in an executive role at SunPower. Her early career in international development began with a tour as a Peace Corps volunteer in Central Africa and segued into international consulting. Faith holds a bachelor's degree from Oberlin College and a master's degree from Ohio University. Welcome to Jackie and Faith.
Thanks so much, Heather. It's really refreshing for someone else to start this events, and so wonderful job. Thank you. So guys, this is again, I want to remind everyone, this is not in a webinar format, which means all of the participants have the ability to unmute themselves and show their faces whenever they want to, when they have questions. We want to make it interactive. Please feel free to stop us if you really can't wait until the end of a segment to ask your questions, or you can put your questions in the chat box so that we can see them. Somehow, let us know that you have a question. I want to get started by talking a little bit about PioBiz Competition and what it is, and maybe what it's not. PioBiz Competition, first of all, what I say here, most of it you can find, and maybe more, online at marietta.edu/PioBiz. So feel free to check that website and find more information. It's a business startup competition with final award of up to $10,000. Now, this competition is somewhat sequential, loosely sequential, has 3 rounds. The first round is the one that's coming up in March. So the deadline to register is March 1st, and the competition day is March 11th. The competition is going to be in a webinar format. Competitors have 3 minutes to talk about their product and pitch their product, I guess. And then 3 minutes to spend in Q&A with the judges. And top awards here are somewhere between $100 to $190. Now, if you're here because you want to gather information about junior PioBiz, please know that the awards and some other small details are different, but junior PioBiz in general, the format of the competition is exactly like round one of a PioBiz competition. But if you want, again, more information, please check out the website, marietta.edu/jr-PioBiz. Round 2 of the competition is coming up in April, and that is the awards are a little bit more substantial. It's called the proof of concept round of the competition. We will also have a workshop right before that, way before that competition. Actually, it's going to be in March, or March 18, I think, our workshop that discusses what we mean by proof of concept and what's expected. And then the last round is the $10,000 round. Now, that's a serious round. It's called business plan round. So you have to develop a full business plan and present it to judges and everybody else. So, but that round of competition this year is scheduled for fall 2021. So you have a whole summer to work on your business plan. And again, we can help you. We have courses for that, and we have workshops for that. So we are here to help you succeed, regardless of your background. Now, who can compete? That's also defined very generously. Any full-time, current, or recently graduated Marietta College student, and by recent graduates, we mean the last 3 semesters. If you graduated during those last 3 semesters, you qualify to compete in PioBiz competition. Teams may have up to 5 members. Now, here's the catch. Even if you're not Marietta College student, you can compete in PioBiz as long as at least one of your team members is Marietta College student or recent grad. So one Marietta College recent grad or current student is enough to qualify you to compete in PioBiz competition. There is another catch, and that's the fact that we want our students to actually be the presenters. So MC members of a team, only the MC members of a team can be the team leaders, and they can make presentations. So the actual pitch has to take place by an MC family member, MC student, or recent grad. But during the Q&A with the judges, non-MC members of a team also can answer questions. And only the awards directly are paid to the MC members of a team or team leader, basically. So if a team has 5 members, the leader is going to receive the award check, and then they can decide what they do with it. So hopefully there's not going to be any fights or anything, right? We don't want that. It's just, it makes our job easier. Instead of cutting, 5 different checks, we just cut 1 check. And each team can enter the competition with up to 3 different business ideas. So lots of opportunities there. All right. I don't see any questions. Should I move to the next part? Yeah. Okay. Heather, no questions? No? All right. Let's move on. No. All right. I know I'm always very crystal clear. What is problem solution? Where did we come up with this whole idea of problem solution? Well, products and services are developed to solve problems, right? When people buy products, they're actually buying solutions. And when you have customers, you have a business. And if you have a cool idea, but no customers, then you have just a cool idea, not a business, just a cool idea, right? So finding a problem that has no solution also is not a good thing. So don't go there looking for, oh my God, nobody has solved this problem. Because it may be that problem is not substantial enough to demand a solution. People complain about a lot of stuff, this and that. Do they really want to solve that problem? Will they really pay something, $2, $10, $20, $200, $2,000 to buy a solution for that problem? Maybe, maybe not. Some problems, nobody wants to buy a solution to those problems. So we have to be careful to make sure that we have identified problems that the solution to which is something that people are interested, and people are interested to actually buy those solutions, right? So that's why we call this round of competition problem solution. We want you to focus on what is it? What kind of problem does your product solve? And who are these people that you're solving this problem for? And are they really willing to buy your solutions? Right? These are important things. I'm looking at the chat. All right, so that's Heather. Okay, moving on to my next slide. I'm going to share a little bit with you about how you search for worthy ideas. Just a little bit. So this is the picture, the matrix that I share with my students in class 2. Right? It's very rough and very gross, very estimation. But what we're doing, we basically are dividing all kind of products, goods and services, into 4 broad categories. So let me explain what I mean by that. You see, products could be really useful, right? Useful products. So high in usefulness, low in degree of usefulness. And then products could be something novel, cool idea, or not so much. So we put them in 2 categories: high in when it comes to degree of novelty, and low when it comes to degree of novelty. And then we put our products, our ideas into each of these boxes. Right? So what are innovations or innovative ideas? Those are the cool new ideas that you have that also are useful. People are willing to pay to buy those products. So that's going to fit in here. Now, what is invention? Well, invention is a cool idea, a novel, cool idea, but maybe not so useful. So that's how we distinguish between what is invention and what is innovation. And then you may come up with a product that you basically have improved, slight improvement in some other product. So it's not really, the idea is not very novel, but it's very useful. So that comes in this category, improvement, lower left. And then lower right is irrelevant ideas. You don't want to be there, because these are the ideas that not cool, not new, not, nothing. It's just, and then they're not even useful. So you don't want to be there. So You want your products and services either fall in this category of innovation or in the category of improvement. You want to avoid products that are just cool but nobody wants, and products that are totally irrelevant. So, worthy this, not so worthy that. So, I'm going to just give you a few examples, and what I'm going to ask you, if you want to put your answers in the chat box, that would be great. Let's just practice. What do I mean by what is worthy and what's not? So remember, we're looking for products that either fall in the top left category, that top left box, or the bottom left box of this matrix. So here is one. And here's another one. So let's talk about both of these in a chat box. Where do they fit? Innovation, invention, improvement, irrelevant. Put your answers in the chat box. So we got some ideas here. One is invention. Two is innovation. Or two is, one might be relevant. To some of us, it might be. And two might be improvement. So opinions vary a little bit, right? A little bit, and that's okay. We don't want everyone to be interested in our product, but we want to have a good size of, good size market. We don't want a tiny market for our product. So one could be a cool idea that we may not find a lot of customers for, or maybe not. But that's why we have to kind of think about it and talk about it with people to see whether this is really something that they may be interested. Do they want to save space? Do they read a lot of books? Really books, not virtual books, right? And that kind of stuff. This number two looks more like an improvement. Improvement ideas, have you run into, at times that someone comes up with something and you just kind of kick yourself and say, oh my God, I could have come up with that. That's improvement. It's simple, but somebody else came up with it and they act upon it, right? They acted upon it. So let me give you another example. All right, number three, if you don't know what it is, it's a combo, toilet and sink. And number four, you see what it is. Which one is the toilet? Well, the one on the right, the top picture, that's the toilet. So looks like a lot of you agree, or a few of you. Yeah. 3 innovation, 4 improvement. 3 and 4 are both improvement. 3 innovation. Is there anybody who thinks 3 is just an invention? Cool idea, or maybe not. Again, we don't have to agree. We don't have to all agree. And for our product to really fly well, the idea fly well, we just need a market. We need a market, but we need a good size market. We don't need a tiny market. So again, we have to do a little bit of an informal market research before we actually introduce our product to the market. Let me give you a couple other examples, 5 and 6. What do you think about these? They're biodegradable, right? Environmentally friendly products. Both improvement. Okay, so I like that you use the word might. Yes, we make some kind of assumptions, we develop some hypotheses, and then of course we test our hypothesis, which means basically we go out there and see whether we're right or not, right? If our hypothesis is correct or not. Oh, I have a couple more now. These two are services. 7 and 8. So this is Instacart, right? Service, supermarket, grocery delivery, and dog walking service. Which one is innovation, Hannah? 7? Mm-hmm. Well, you know, that looks like he's a millionaire. Well, we know that both of these businesses exist, and well, usually they do well too, right? Especially post-COVID, unfortunately, we are in the era that, well, unfortunate for us, fortunate for these businesses, like the first one, number 7. So let me share. Okay. So there was some disagreement there, but I wonder if you guys agree on these ones. You know, there's maybe more agreement here. So what is the slippers that also, you know, you can wash or wipe your floor with? And this, you know, you can see what they are. What do you think about these? Yeah, so these are kind of like what? Cool ideas mostly? Can we agree that they're probably what? Low in usefulness? So maybe irrelevant or invention? They are inventions, I guess. They're not innovation because remember, innovation is something that people really want. And I'm not sure. And again, that's just, I'm disagreeing with you, with some of you, but you know, who is right, who's wrong, we have to do a little bit more research, right? I'm guessing that not many of us will buy the slippers, you know, especially the green ones. All right. Silly, irrelevant. Yes. Let's move on. One more. That's last one. Can we agree on this one at least, all of us? Degree of usefulness? Yeah. So, yeah, you can't water your plants with that. Is it a good artwork? Maybe, yeah, I don't know. but I would not compete in PioBiz competition with that. Yeah, I will find something that's a little bit more useful. Just my idea. All right. I'm not seeing that. Okay, let me just double check the chat box. Heather, if I'm missing, if somebody's asking questions in the chat box and I miss it, please feel free to stop me and ask questions.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So let me just move. So you got the idea, I hope, a little bit. So how do we search for ideas? Easy. Observe, listen, ask questions, be curious, be alert. That's all, right? Really observe. Observe what? Observe people, right? What kind of problems they have? What do they complain about? What are the difficulties, right? You want to observe people, listen to people, ask follow-up questions, be curious what bothers them. But again, you have to be careful. A lot of times, a lot of things bother me on one day because I just don't have a good day, right? I complain about everything. And then the next day you ask, oh, really? You complained about that thing? That's a problem? Is that a real problem? You want a solution? You know, that kind of stuff. Because, you know, we are people. But another thing I want to say, especially is relevant to Mid-Ohio Valley, guys. Observe when you go to other locations, right? Other cities, other countries, other places. What do they have that we don't have in Mid-Ohio Valley? And maybe we can have a version of it with a twist, adapting it, you know, making it fit our lifestyle in the Mid-Ohio Valley. And maybe we can just bring that to Mid-Ohio Valley. And
Stand down there, okay. Definitely warmer.
Somebody has your sound is not muted. Could you please mute yourself unless you have a question, because I hear background sound. Okay, so services in other areas. You know, that's what happened to Starbucks, right? So what? Somebody sells a nice coffee shop in Italy and said, okay, we should have that in the US. And of course, they changed it a little bit to kind of fit our lifestyle. And then other products in other industries, like that bucket that was space-saving bucket, right? And what else can we make modify that could be space-saving? You know, the saving environment, environmentally friendly stuff are in, right? So yes, fork and knife, but what else? What else can we come up? These are usually the problems that people have. They want to save time, they want to save money, they want to save energy, or they don't have the expertise to do something. So they're looking. So these are the problems, right? So for example, where did Quickbook come from? It actually hit a few of these bullet points, right? It saves time, it saves money, it saves energy, it saves expertise for small businesses. So small businesses get Quickbook and do all their finances, accounting stuff using Quickbook. And they don't have the expertise. It's simplified it, and it's not very expensive. It's much cheaper than hiring a full-time accountant, and it gets the job done. So what else can we create that's similar to Quickbook, right? Make somebody's life easier. And if they don't have the money or energy, or they're on a budget, they can use that. So there are some products in some industries that are already, they were created because they were created to save time, energy, environment, you name it, and we can kind of use that model and apply it in other areas. But before you find a way to solve a problem, before you rush to solve a problem, you need to find the root cause of the problem. And I give you an example. Dog odor. We love our dogs. They are sweet animals. My kids all have dogs. I don't, but I visit. I have grand dogs. But dog odor is a problem. Can we agree that dog odor is a problem sometimes?
Yeah.
Yep. So what kind of products can we come up with to solve this problem? What comes to your mind immediately? You want to talk, or you want to put your answers in the chat box? Feel free. So if dog odor is a problem and you were supposed to solve the problem, come up with a product that solves the problem, Febreze, air freshener. Okay, well, those exist, right? You don't want to, I mean, there are all kind of variety of air fresheners that everybody sells. So I don't think market is ready for shampoo. Have you ever seen like in a Petco or wherever else that they sell dog shampoos? You know, there's a variety of shampoos with different types. This is good for dandruff. That's good for that. That smells like this. The other one smells like that. Doggy bag that doubles as a deodorant before disposal. So that solves the dog odor. That doubles as a deodorant before this disposal. Okay, so you are thinking about the odor, not the dog odor, but the dog's poop odor, I guess, right? I don't know. Deodorant box. All right. So before you rush to develop any of these products, first of all, we are also asking you to check the market and to see whether these products already exist and how much of them, how many of them, what variety of them exist. If the problem is because the reason that the dogs smell is because we don't wash them often, and because there's nothing to wash the dog with, then the solution would be shampoo, another variety of shampoo, right? But I would not compete in PioBiz unless your shampoo is like some drastically different from what's already in the market, because there's a cheap ones, expensive ones, all kind. Maybe not this. What if dogs are not, we don't wash our dogs because they don't really enjoy bathing? So people complain. So you talk to dog owners. Why does your dog smell? Well, because I don't get to wash them very often. Well, why not? And they tell you that, well, because he just always acts up. He doesn't like to be, he doesn't like water. He doesn't like bathing. Then that's a different problem and requires a different solution. How would you solve this one if that was the problem? Dry shampoo, okay. And I'm not sure, are there any dry shampoos on the market? I'm guessing there could be. What else? But that's a different solution, right? So you have to know the root of the solution, root of the problem. Doggy perfume, yeah, similar to dry shampoo. Yeah, so you see how you're coming up with different solutions now? It's not just a shampoo, but it's dry shampoo. It's something that you can quickly put on your dog and make him smell less. Give him a treat every time they go to the shower with you. Okay, so that is a solution, but what is the product now that you're going to be developing? This is just kind of a solution that doesn't lead into you developing necessarily a product, unless you want to, maybe you want to come up with the type of doggy treats that you can give it to them. It can get wet, I guess, or when they are in the shower, in the bathtub, or something like that. I don't know. Or you may want to come up with some bath toys, something to occupy them, whatever that they enjoy. I know for babies, we have baby bath toys, right? So that is a different solution. And what if the problem is, and so you're again talking to dog owners, right? You want to find the right product for the right root cause of the problem. And they tell you, you know what? It's because dog hair clogs the bath drain. And that's why we don't bathe our dog very often. Well, for that, you will have a different solution, right? Different product. What would that be? Yeah, very good. All kind of good ideas, right? So again, if this is the root cause of the problem, then your solution is totally not a shampoo or deodorant, but it's something else, a strainer or something that you can use to solve this problem. Or maybe when you talk to dog owners and say, well, last time I bathed my dog was 4 weeks ago, it just takes too much time, right? That is the root cause of problem. How do you solve that one? You guys came up with a very good idea for the first three problems, but what about this one? Yes, dog washing service. Not new, but maybe new in this location. I don't know. You have to kind of look around. Of course, you have to know how many, a little bit information about who owns dogs and whether they are willing to pay for their dog to be washed. You can also think about a dog washing service that comes to you, right? So they come to you, to your house, you make an appointment, they come there and they somehow wash it. Maybe they have a van or something. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud along with you. So you see what I mean? So if you want to quickly, you say, okay, dog odor is a problem. I'm going to come up with a product that solves this problem. Where are you going to go with it? That's when you have to talk to people, to dog owners, to find which one of these 4 is most likely candidate for the root cause of the problem. And then you want to go, after finding a solution for that kind of problem, right? And so that makes, increases the potential, your potential to succeed with your product, right? Okay, if there is any questions, it's a good time to stop and ask. Yeah, lots of good. You guys, some of you got your PioBiz ideas right there. I'm not gonna even repeat it. If that, you have to kind of double check, right? You have to see whether what we think it's a problem is a problem. And that's when I mean, go out, talk to people, see what is the real problem. Any questions? All right. And another thing, when you're coming up with your ideas, with your products, okay, this is the economist of me. Take advantage of your comparative advantage. What do I mean by that? What are you good at? What do you have that others don't? What are your skills? Where is your passion? Resources, skills, passion. Because look, maybe you came up with a good solution and good product. Do you have enough passion, interest, a little bit of a skill to start tackling that idea or not? So for example, if you say, oh, I have a cool idea. Somebody should develop an app that does fill in the blank. All right, fine. And it could be a useful idea, but, and useful app, useful product. But how are you going to take the next step? Do you have the know-how, the skill to start developing this app, or someone around you? Because you don't want to pay $25, $25,000, $35,000. I've priced some apps, right? To somebody to develop the app for you. No, that's not how to start a business. So make sure that you have some resources that you can actually get started, maybe producing a prototype at some point, not for this round of competition, but down the road. So, and then if you think that you don't have resources, I have to tell you that you do. You have time. A lot of students are more comfortable around technology than I am and my generation is. That is a plus. That's a skill. You have good communication skill. You have good technical skill. Do you love, now that I'm talking about now, your passion? Do you love to dance? Do you love to exercise? Do you love to spend time with children? Or do you want to be around elderly? Those are pluses, right? So keep that in mind too. So whatever you choose to compete with in PioBiz competition, it should also be something that you want to do something with. You want to start working on your project. It can't just stay in the idea stage forever, right? All right, finally, I want to quickly go through application and just what if you go online and apply to compete in PioBiz, what are the questions that we're asking you, and also your presentation format. So the key components of the application and presentation are, well, first, basic information, names, name of products, if you're students, you know, your major, that kind of stuff. Introduction. The second part is a problem. What is the problem that this product is solving? Who has this problem? So you need to do a little bit of legwork. You know, is it mostly college students? Is it mostly teenagers? Is it mostly mothers with children, an age group, this and that? Yeah, try to kind of figure out who is this person, your typical person that may be interested in your product, paying to purchase your product. And how is this problem currently solved? Now, look around. Are there similar products out there or not? And then talk about the solution. Describe your product and service in a little bit more detail. And how does it solve the problem? And how is your solution better than alternative solutions? Now, better is a general word. Is it cheaper? Is it more, you know, does it last longer? Is it easier to understand? Is it easier to put together? Something. So better, you know, so you want to generate this extra value for your customers. Something that convinces them to buy your product and not the competition, right? Not the competing products. So that's it. That's the first round. these are the questions that you're going to answer on the online application, the link to which is on our website, marietta.edu/PioBiz. And your presentation, your 3-minute presentation, is also organized this way. Now, I want to turn it in to Faith, my dear friend, to talk a little bit about the venture model canvas and how we can use this canvas to actually learn whether our products are feasible, do they generate value, how likely are they to succeed. Thank you, Faith.
Thank you, Jackie. It is a pleasure to be able to speak to you all. And I will now share my screen as soon as Jackie relinquishes hers. Jackie, I think that you have to unshare your screen before I can share mine. And while that is happening, let me just say that, of course, we are all operating from our homes. And in my home, I happen to have a cricket, not purposefully, but I do have a wood pile. And when I brought in the wood one day, apparently I brought in a cricket as well. So just to let you know that it is not August in my house, but I do have a friend making noise in the background. So my apologies if that's at times seems to overwhelm the sound of the presentation. Okay, so can everybody see my screen at this point? Can I get a verbal as to whether the screen can be seen?
Yes.
Excellent. All right. So as Jackie noted, I'm going to go into something that I call the venture model canvas. And this is an image of some folks using it. This is a workshop that I happen to have done overseas at one point. This is a one-page enterprise planning tool. And it is 15 years old, the business model canvas at this point. So many of you have probably already seen it. You've probably already worked with it, particularly if you've taken some of Dr. Kurasani's classes or other trainings, startup weekends, that sort of thing. So I'm going to go over it fairly briefly, and we'll stop at a certain point and ask for questions. But the entire purpose of this is to do exactly what Dr. Kurasani was doing in the early portion of this presentation, which was to think of an idea or think of some people that you want to help with solving a problem, and then sort of think through how feasible that would be in various ways. And the way that you do it with this particular tool, as many of you already know, is that you have a great big sheet of paper, just one sheet of paper, and a bunch of sticky notes. And you use the sticky notes to talk about what the problem, the solution, the value proposition, the beneficiaries are. And then as you iterate it, as you go and try it out with folks who might be potential customers, then you change it. You take off the sticky notes, you change up what they say. So it is an easy way to create an entire business model in a very brief period of time and to bring that idea out to folks who might validate it, so potential customers. So the original business model canvas was all of these blocks that are shown on the screen. And just briefly to explain the modifications, and there are many, many hundreds, thousands of different kinds of modifications in the 15 years since this was first created. But this particular one has what's called a triple bottom line. And that is because in my work and with the clients that I work with, sometimes it's used by municipalities, by cities to plan out new projects, but often it's used by social enterprises, enterprises that have a mission and also make money. And so let me explain what the difference is between the venture model canvas, which is what I call the iteration that we use, and the business model canvas. So originally, the business model canvas was very much about money in and money out, about a for-profit business. And we wanted to make one, again, for the public sector and for nonprofits, for social enterprises. So we changed this central portion here, this block, from value proposition to social value proposition. And we changed customers in a for-profit circumstance to beneficiaries. And most importantly, however, we added what we call the triple bottom line: people, planet, and profit. So we still had the money in and the money out, which are at the bottom on the left and the right. And we also talked about social and environmental costs and benefits. So what I'm going to do, particularly for those who may not have seen this model before, is to go through with an enterprise to show you from beginning to end fairly rapidly how this is done. So you start in the very center with the value and the problem solution that Dr. Khorasani was talking about. And you also think about your beneficiaries. Who has the problem? Who would like the solution? How do they want that solution couched? And what is the value to them? So in this particular example, this was actually in one of my workshops that I did overseas, but it could be certainly in the United States as well. The problem that was seen by this particular community, that there was serious human impact on a rural area that was very arid. It was actually Ethiopia, but it could be in the West in the United States. And the human impact on that arid rural environment was quite severe and was increasing the environmental degradation. So that's a huge problem. Obviously, there are many, many different kinds of solutions that have to be effected to make any change in that problem. These particular innovators had one very specific and small-ish solution, and that was that they wanted to create a mobile educational unit that they were going to bring from rural school to rural school to train the youth in the environmental, the reasons that environmental degradation was happening, and amelioration that they themselves could affect. So that was the value that they saw. And there were direct beneficiaries, and those were the youth who were resident in these rural locations. And then there were indirect beneficiaries, the schools, the parents, and of course, the community in general. So that was the original citation of the problem, solution, and value, and a discussion of the beneficiaries, who had the problem and who would find this solution compelling. Then, and I'm going to go through this fairly quickly and then pause and have questions and interaction. So in between the value and the beneficiaries, we have the way that the value gets to the beneficiaries. So we have the relationship that the providers of the beneficiaries, or the provider of the value, give to the beneficiaries. And under relationships, we say, what's the branding? What's the sort of the sense by the beneficiaries of that value? Well, in this case, perhaps it would be a personal connection with the community, engagement, talking about this environmental degradation. What are the channels? What are the means by which this value gets to the beneficiaries? In this particular case, these innovators were thinking about classroom teaching, field work, and guided projects. So what I've done so far is talk about the ideation side of the canvas, the great idea, who it's for, and how that value gets to you. And then, extremely quickly, I'm going to go through the implementation side. And that's where you say things like, what activities do I have to undertake in order to create this innovation, this value for these beneficiaries? In this case, they had to have buy-in from the various stakeholders. They had to plan the whole lesson plans. They had to have funding to buy their vehicle, et cetera. What are the resources? In this case, because it was a mobile unit, they had to have a truck, and they were going to do tree plantings. And so they had to have seedlings. And then they had to have engagement from the school districts. Who are the partners? And if you're talking about a social enterprise or a nonprofit or a municipality doing a project, partners are going to be extremely important. Somehow sharing the creation of this value and probably the benefits with partners. So in this case, they were talking about school boards, about teacher-parent organizations, and potentially providers of these resources like the truck and the seedlings. Then you get down to the cost and benefit. So generally, when I initially do this canvas with folks, I say, you don't have to put together a whole financial model, but my suggestion is that you use a pie chart. And you say, if it's going to cost $50,000 to put this project together, just ballparking it, what's the percentage of cost for all of the various things that are going to be costly? So in this case, documentation, seedlings, personnel, the vehicle itself. And then there's the question of whether there are social or environmental costs. And one of the ways to use this particular block, or to think about this as you think about the feasibility of any idea that you have, is to say, is there a problem? You know, this is a place, for example, to say, are there competitors? And if you're talking about a social enterprise or a nonprofit, you want to make sure that you're collaborating with potential competitors, and that would make it more feasible if you were indeed filling a gap. So that's the sort of cost side. On the revenue side, again, a pie chart can say, well, you know, of this $50,000, where's the funding going to come from? Well, in this case, there's fees from the schools, there's a government grant, there's seedling providers, and so on. And on the social and environmental side, what is the value? What's the payback? Well, it's improved youth awareness of the impact on the environment and what they're learning in the class situation. So I've taken a very specific enterprise, and it's not, you know, it's not one of the ones that Dr. Kurasani was talking about, but I did want to see if, you know, there were chat questions or verbal questions about sort of how this tool is used. Are there folks who have already used the tool and could say anything about how they used it, or those who have never used it and would like to ask questions?
Feel free to either unmute yourself to ask questions or drop them in chat, whatever you're more comfortable with.
So I'll ask a different question. Okay, let's see. Great, okay. Yeah, the model first started being used in 2008. So it was developed in California, and it was iterated there by folks who were working in the tech sector in California, in Silicon Valley. And it became a part of the curriculum there at Stanford at first. And then it was the topic of a book. And it was seized upon by the sort of entrepreneurial community. And eventually it became part of a federal program, the Innovation Corps, the I-Corps. There's a 10-week intensive program for folks who are bringing usually technology businesses into reality. And then, as I said, there's thousands and thousands of models that have been innovated and created upon this. Some of them quite a bit more complex than this. All right, well, we can talk a little bit more about it if anybody wants to after I finish up this particular portion of the presentation. So that was the example of the canvas. So, you know, again, the place to start is at the middle. So, you know, when you come up with that brilliant idea, you know, I have a mobile dog washing unit. All right, so what problem does that solve? Well, it solves the problem of, you know, people who don't have time to wash their dog and their dog stinks. Okay, so that's reasonable. You know, and then how do you brand it? How do you get that value to people? How much does it cost? You know, you start with that nexus, you know, the thing you have, the value, and talk about who has the problem that solution, that value solves. And then down from the operations, costs are generated, and from the value derives benefit. And then you have all received in an email and also in the chat, a link to a list of questions that you can ask yourself as you start to do that iteration. So what we're going to do now is move into a random assortment of folks with whom you're going to be talking about innovations, new ideas, And you can use that Canvas model, and you can use those questions to sort of think, what problems interest this particular group that I'm in? Who would be the beneficiaries? And we're going to give you 10 minutes to think through that. And after you've had that opportunity to talk for 10 minutes, then you can come, we'll bring you back to the main group and see what everybody came up with and whether there were, cross-fertilization of ideas, whether perhaps some folks have come up with ideas that they want to put into the competition. And we'd also like you to use these 10 minutes to get to know each other a little bit, because part of the whole point of this workshop is to maybe connect with others who have similar ideas as yours. So Dr. Kurasani, did you want to say anything else before we put people into their breakout groups?
Not really. You said it all. I just wanted to say that please don't be overwhelmed by whole Canvas and all the questions. Those are just to guide you to think through and think forward. Think about what comes next. The problem solution round of competition is a lot simpler than you don't have to present the whole canvas. But definitely looking ahead, thinking about who is interested in your product and what kind of extra value, what is that value that you're creating for these people? This is really important because at some point you have to really think seriously about it. And judges will ask questions. It's good to be prepared, even though you're not making presentation, but about all of these parts of the canvas. What's good about it is that it at least makes you start thinking about it. So when the judges say, have you ever thought about this and that, you will have some answers, convincing answers for them. So that's it. But round one is a lot simpler. You don't have to have information on all of the pieces that was discussed in the canvas.